I've got Ryan Pelky from Tampa Bay Plumbers. Ryan is our preferred plumber. Does an awesome job for us and all of our properties. But wanted to talk to him because one of the segments of our marketplace right now that's so busy is the investor crowd. We're seeing large amounts of investors from all over the country buying homes in our market, even local investors. And I think, if you're an investor out there thinking about buying, it's really crucial. One of the things I always talk about is kind of having your own dream team of people to help you with that stuff. My wife and I buy rental properties. We have you guys look at it because, the plumbing side of things can be one of the most expensive, portions of missing something in an inspection or a renovation, estimate. But what are some of the things you guys do to help cater to that, that person that's either, buying a lot of homes and can't look at them all themselves, or isn't handy, or is out of state, or buying, homes from other areas? What are some of the things you guys do to help cater to that audience?
Well, thanks a lot, Andrew, for having me on the show again. This is my third time, and I always love being here. We kind of fill in the gaps where the home inspectors, they can only do so much with the typical home inspection.
Right. So
we offer a septic and also a plumbing, just depending on the house. A lot of houses in Tampa aren't even on septic, so we just focus on the plumbing on that. But a great example is a house that we went to on Friday. It was a flip, and instead of running the drain the proper way, they just ran a laundry drain out of the house and tied it right into the ground, buried it up. And,
that's really bad.
Yeah. I like the sound effect there. But we see that type of stuff all the time. So this poor homeowner that just bought this house, it had been all prettied up with new paint and new carpet. Lo and behold, the main infrastructure of the home is bad.
Right.
So they have to spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on something they had no idea was out there. And so how's the home inspector gonna catch something like that? And the answer is they really can't, not reliably, unless they do just a way beyond thorough inspection, and it's just not practical. So we have tools and equipment that allow us to come in and give a much more thorough evaluation of a house before it's purchased, and during
even
the
like
contract
video,
period.
I think, which is pretty cool. I mean, you guys can video the lines. I mean, you guys can really get in there and do a lot of high tech stuff that that the typical plumber, you don't think of having those kind of tools.
Well, the technology has come so far just in the last 5 years with the invention of the smartphones and the tablets. We can take video of it inside of a pipe and send it to an investor that's in Wichita, Kansas, and they can see in almost real time what's going on there. So it's a whole different ball game now. And if you're utilizing these types of technologies, we can do a lot more for you.
And speaking of so the investor crowd, I think that's also what's important too, is understanding that you work with a lot of that crowd. It's about this is not an emotional process for them. It's the emotion stripped away. This is about making a profit. This is about making money. So ways you can advise them of saying, hey, look, if you're going to buy this home and turn it into a rental, if you try and band-aid together the rickety-rackety plumbing thing that you got going on, it's going to cost you maintenance over years versus you spend the money now and you reap the greater returns later and and all that kind of stuff. Because I think, again, what sometimes investors fail to do, I think you just mentioned it when you talked about the flip. Sometimes they'll cut corners. They'll look to skimp. They'll look to do things like that. And in the long term, there's obviously challenges with them doing that.
Yeah. Now the poor homeowner that we encountered on Friday, she happens to be a real estate attorney. So, the flipper is going to get himself into some trouble on that one. But
whereas the flipper could have, if he'd have gone the extra mile, hired someone like you to really look at the plumbing instead of probably, loading up some people from Home Depot, putting them in his truck and taking them out to his house and flip. If he'd have gone the right way, he probably would have, he probably could have justified maybe a slightly better, price for the house because the investment and that sort of thing. But he also would have eliminated some risk.
Absolutely. And the thing of it is that you have to do that work on the front end. I always tell my customers I'd rather give you bad news now rather than bad news 6 months from now after you've already spent $30,000 renovating a house.
Right.
You need to know from A to Z what's wrong with it before you spend any money, plain and simple.
Right.
So that's what we try to do.
Well, and I think again, when you look at the trade services industry after kind of some of the challenges we had in our economy, you had so many people, start to downsize and lose employees, and businesses like yours that have thrived and grown. I think it's a testament to say, how great of a job you do for your clients. Because I mean, if you look at your Google reviews, your reviews, on Angie's List, I mean, you guys do an awesome job. You have a great reputation. I think that's important for the consumer to understand, because you truly do get what you pay for in that realm. I mean, when you're talking about hiring someone to do work like that, it's a different. It's you can't just hire the guy from Craigslist and expect that you're going to get the right advice, the right we've seen this too. I mean, when permits aren't filed.
Oh yeah,
When
that's the
stuff's
biggest
done
issue.
and permits aren't filed, that is a nightmare. And people think, oh, we don't have to worry about that. But what happens when you go to sell that home to somebody and they find out that something wasn't? I mean, there are all kinds of challenges. But and a lot of the title companies now, which is something I spoke about on the show recently, they're now doing permit searches. They used to not. That was
And they
used to be, but now that's part of it. And so we're seeing all kinds of sales getting slowed down and held up because of
They
permit
changed the
challenges.
wall around, they moved the toilet to the other side of the bathroom and it wasn't permitted.
Right.
So, that's what the advice I always give my customers is, you don't have to worry about whether or not the contractor's qualified, as long as you just ask them to pull permits. Because the process basically guarantees that they are licensed, they are
Or
insured.
they can't pull permit.
Or they can't pull permits. So that's the beauty of it. And then you don't have to worry about if the work's being done correctly, because then the building department's going to inspect it for you. And believe me, as a contractor, yeah, sometimes having to wait around for an inspector to show up, it's a pain. And you don't make as much money on those types of jobs all the time because of the hoops that the building departments make you jump through. But as a homeowner, you have to appreciate what comes with that. It's a heck of a value that you can't underestimate.
Right.